It is the night between Holy Saturday and Easter Sunday. In Jerusalem, thousands of people crowd into the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Soldiers hold the masses back. Doors are sealed with wax. Police comb through the tomb chapel. Then the Orthodox patriarch disappears into the darkness of the supposed tomb of Jesus, almost naked, wearing only a white undergarment. Moments later, he steps out again, holding a burning candle in his hand. The crowd screams, sobs, pushes forward. Bundles of 33 candles are thrust into the flame. Believers claim that for a few minutes this fire is cold, that it does not burn. A miracle, say some. A chemical trick, say others. But the real ritual is only beginning. The holy fire is packed into special lamps, carried through the crowd by clergy and officials, then taken out to the runway. A plane is waiting, sometimes a diplomatic jet, sometimes a private one. The light of Christ gets a seat in business class. It takes off for Athens, Moscow, sometimes all the way to the United States. In some capitals, the fire is welcomed with honor guards and red carpets, almost like a head of state. Holy fire, transported by very worldly money. Welcome to our final journey into the shadows of Easter. Tonight, we follow the trail of rituals, from the death of a man whose exact date no one knows, through councils that rearrange time itself, to flying fires, blessed water, fertile rabbits, and a holiday stretched thin between faith and profit, Jesus of Nazareth. Around the year 30 CE under Pontius Pilate. On that, historians mostly agree. But when it comes to the exact day, things go dark. The Gospels tell different stories. In Matthew, Mark, and Luke, the Last Supper feels like a Passover meal. Jesus eats with his disciples, then is arrested, and executed the day after the feast. In John, it's different. There, Jesus dies while the Passover lambs are being slaughtered in the temple, not after the feast, but in the middle of the preparations. There is a gap between these versions. Yet one detail runs through all the accounts: the crowds. The texts speak of great multitudes following Jesus to the place of execution, of a large assembly beneath the cross, of passers-by, pilgrims, who mock, weep, comment. Historically, that fits only one moment, the Passover festival in Jerusalem. From the whole region, even from the broader diaspora, Jews streamed into the city, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands. During these days, the Romans were nervous. Wherever crowds gather, a spark can ignite a revolt. The empire's answer was brutal, a public example, at just the right time, before as many eyes as possible. The Gospels don't underline it was Passover like a footnote, but the overflowing city, the agitated masses, the tense occupying force, they whisper it between the lines. Even the earliest Christian texts contradict each other in details, yet they agree on one thing. The death of Jesus happens in the shadow of Passover, and these blurry, conflicting sources will later become the foundation for the most exact thing we have, the calendar of the Church. Whoever controls time controls the faithful. In the year 325, Emperor Constantine summons the bishops to Nicaea. They come to argue about doctrine, but one of those arguments is surprisingly practical. On which exact date should Christians celebrate Easter? In Alexandria, the date is calculated by the moon. In Rome, by a more complex mix of sun and moon. Two systems, two traditions, two centers of power. Constantine wants unity, not out of piety, but out of political necessity. One empire, one emperor, one faith, and, ideally, one date. The council decrees Easter will be celebrated on the first Sunday after the first full moon of spring. It sounds devout, almost mystical, but read coldly, it is mainly one thing: a compromise that strengthens Rome's authority. But time is treacherous. The Julian calendar drifts. Over centuries, the spring equinox slides forward. By the 16th century, it's off by 10 full days. Pope Gregory XIII pulls the emergency brake. He simply deletes 10 days from October 1582. and installs the Gregorian calendar we still use today. Not everyone plays along. Protestant countries resist at first. Orthodox churches keep the old Julian system. The result? A crack running through the Christian world, visible every year in a date. In Western Europe and the Americas, Catholics and most Protestants celebrate Easter according to the Gregorian calendar. The Orthodox churches follow the Julian one. Sometimes the feasts coincide. Often they are 1, 2, or more weeks apart. One faith, one God, but different times. Look closely, and you see less of heaven in this than of geopolitics. While bishops and emperors argue over dates, people keep living with their old symbols: fire, water, egg, hair. In pre-Christian spring rites, huge fires are lit. Need fires, meant to drive away winter demons, sickness, misfortune. The flames are supposed to strengthen the sun, burn the winter away for good. The church doesn't ban this fire, it covers it. On the night before Easter Sunday, the Easter fire is lit. Officially, it is the light of Christ, a sign of resurrection. Traditionally, no old flame may be used. Dry wood is rubbed against wood until the first spark leaps out. Cold fire, painstaking, ritual, almost magical. The new fire must be pure, uncontaminated by kitchen stoves and forge coals. In some regions, people speak of flying fire. Glowing wooden chips are hurled into the sky, sparks rain down like stars. Whoever is hit by a spark, they believe, will stay healthy, their animals fertile, their fields rich. Today, the holy fire truly flies. In planes, private jets, accompanied by priests, sponsors, and quiet streams of money. It is the same old gesture stretched into a new age, a flame that's supposed to be stronger than the dark. Only the tools have changed, from rubbed sticks to turbines. Water, too, was holy, long before anyone spoke of baptism. On Easter night, young women once walked silently to springs and streams. They were not allowed to speak, laugh, or look back. Only then, they believed, would the Easter water become effective. Beauty for the face, health for the coming year, protection from illness and misfortune. It was water for skin and hair, not for the soul. The church did not destroy this custom, it swallowed it. Pagan spring water became holy water, baptismal water. Outer cleansing turned inward. No longer the face, but the guilty soul was meant to be washed clean. To this day, the ritual repeats itself. Just in other words, priests bless water in fonts and cauldrons. Small bottles are filled and handed out to parishioners. People sprinkle their homes, their children's rooms, their stables. They trace crosses over doors and beds, hoping for protection, healing, a kinder year. The longing is the same as in that pagan night. Only the vocabulary has changed. But the idea of purity did not disappear. It simply moved. Where water once cleansed face and soul, purity in today's United States purifies something else above all: clothes, kitchens, bathrooms, and the spotless image of an entire lifestyle. Holy water became a holy market. Detergents, cleaners, sprays, pure, clean, fresh. Words that sound like sermons written by an ad agency. Every spring, the spring cleaning campaigns roll out. The great pre-Easter house cleaning. New life begins with clean laundry. Freshness for your home. They are the same old promises of renewal and purity, only now wrapped in pastel packaging and sold at the checkout line. The numbers tell their own liturgy, a multi-billion-dollar business. Purity as product, as lifestyle, as the quiet chemical air of Easter water. The fear of uncleanness is still there. It has simply changed priests. The pastor yields to the marketing director. Confession no longer happens in a wooden booth, but in front of the cleaning aisle. And right here, between pagan spring water, holy fonts, and American cleaning shelves, the view opens onto an Easter. That, in the US, has far more to do with consumption than with the cross. Today, all these layers collide in a strange mixture of faith, custom, and commerce. In Europe, priests bless Easter water and light ritual fires. while colorful markets buzz outside church doors. In Orthodox countries, believers stand in line for hours to carry a small flame of the holy fire back home. In the United States, Easter has become a gigantic commercial event. Egg hunts in suburban lawns, chocolate bunnies in supermarkets, plastic grass in pastel baskets stacked high in megastores. Churches benefit from generous tax exemptions, while corporations feed on the Easter business. Puritan settlers once rejected Easter as too Catholic. Today it's a fixture of American culture, not because of liturgy, but because it perfectly blends family feeling, marketing, and just enough spirituality. All over the world, people celebrate on roughly the same days, but not the same thing. For some, it is the night of resurrection. For others, a spring festival. For many, just a long weekend with sales and discounts. Beneath it all, something very old still flickers: the fear of the dark, the longing for protection, the hope that this year will be better than the last. Fire, water, egg, hair, calendars, councils, private jets, they are only different tools to tame the same uncertainty. The story of Easter is not a neat tale of a divine son dying and rising again on a clearly marked date. It is a tangle of shifted days, overwritten gods, rebranded customs, and very modern interests. Perhaps the real darkness of Easter is not only in the blood on the cross, but in something far more mundane, in how far people are willing to go to rescue a sense of meaning, even if that means bending time itself, flying fire around the globe, and hiding old deities under new names. In the end, one quiet image remains. Somewhere in the world, a person lights a small candle on Easter night, maybe from a flame flown in from Jerusalem, maybe with a cheap plastic lighter. They hope that this tiny light might carry something bright into a dark year. Everything else, calendars, councils, private jets, candy aisles, are only shadows cast by that little flame.